Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up. Period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking to Tiff from The Social Story. Tiff, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Really looking forward to this chat. We caught up last week and there's a couple of interesting things that we were chatting about. So before we go too far, can you tell everyone who you are and a bit about your backstory?
Yeah, for sure. So I am Tiff. I'm the founder and chief storyteller at The Social Story. So we're a social media agency that helps people tell their impact, share their impact in meaningful ways through social. So we work both with social enterprises who want to get the word out about what they're doing to influence the community and the planet, but also work with other corporate organizations who want to bring impact into their day-to-day communications on social.
Awesome. How did you get into, we'll call it storytelling. How did you get into storytelling?
I think it's been something that's always been with me, to be honest. Like some of my earliest memories of my mum using scrap pieces of paper, stapling them together, and then I'd write stories in them. But I was always really fascinated with marketing and the way that these stories are able to shape culture. So I did a university degree in communications and started on that kind of path of internships at publicity firms and PR firms and everything. And around that time, social was really developing. And so I found my space in social and it, kind of made a lot of sense as well because it was something new and exciting and been there ever since.
So how did you set up your business? So The Social Story, how did that actually come about? Like what sort of experience did you have prior? What was the catalyst for you to be your own boss?
Yeah, I often think it was quite accidental in a way. So I did like the kind of corporate life agencies more traditionally for a couple of years and had left what I thought was just a sabbatical. I was quite burnt out and just wanting to kind of take some time to travel and, find myself all those great things. But when I got to kind of reflecting on that, what I was really missing from my career at that point was a connection to purpose and trying to do things in a different way. So it started with just a little bit of freelancing, helping people out here and there. But the more I started, formulating, could I do to bring together both my passion for social media, but also my passion for social justice? And that's where the business kind of came about. We started, working with a lot of different communities and asking them, I was like, how can we make social more inclusive or accessible or even sustainable? And that really developed into the dogma of The Social Story. And then a business was born.
And the rest, they say, is history.
Exactly.
Let's fast forward to today really quickly. How many years since you founded it and what does the Social Story look like today?
Yes, so we're 7 years on now. It has gone through a lot of different iterations. I think particularly in the past 5 years, we went up and down quite a bit, but it's cool. We are a social enterprise ourselves, which basically means that, we, invest everything into also doing public good, even though we're a for-profit business.
Mm-hmm.
So we are like any other agency. We manage the social media profiles of our clients, but then we also do low bono and pro bono work for social enterprises.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're a pretty lean team. It's mainly me and a few permalancers that I work with. But it's fun.
So tell me about that journey, like the highs, the lows. what have been the high highs and what have been the low lows kind of thing?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of unexpected things that were the highs.
Mm.
Like I kind of mentioned, like I didn't have any aspirations to be creating a business or whatever that looked like. It all happened quite organically because, the growth came, we were making great connections and things like that. One particularly unexpected high was last year. We won an award, like an industry award, the Media Week Next of the Best in like a change maker category. And it was one of the things I was just like, oh, let's just type it out. It'll be great just to have the story of what we do put in front of this judging panel, and so that they might read that we're trying to change what marketing is like. And to end up taking the win, I did not expect that at all. I wasn't even
Awesome.
to go to the awards night because I was like, I don't want to spend the money and things like that. And it was just such a nice marker that the industry was recognizing a need to change and recognizing what we were doing to achieve that. On the lows,
Just before we go into the lows, has there been a follow-on impact on the business? What were the days, the weeks, the months after that like?
I mean, it was business as usual a little bit for us. It was, we just got to put our heads down and continue to do that. I think there is a level of these sort of things of like diversity and inclusion are really nice to have, and we want to have talks about them. Even conferences have, a whole stream of talks about it. But what does that look like in practice? And sometimes that doesn't translate so quickly. And us as a business also had that. It was great to have better conversations with some of our corporate clients as well, knowing that this was a real angle we could push with them even further. But yeah, this sort of change is very slow and
especially at that corporate level. Like you're ready to change, but there's a lot of education that needs to go into place before they can even sign off on a contract.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, just I think also like getting in the room with them to start with, and then being able to sell what you do that is different, can be a real challenge.
Yeah. Talk to me about those lows where I cut you off a second ago.
Yeah, I mean, business is hard, and it's one of my favorite quotes from Daniel Flynn, who was the co-founder of Thank You, which is also social enterprise. He said, social enterprise is business on hard mode. Because, like you're not just building a business, which is difficult enough. I went through like every decision that we had to make, like which bank are we going to choose? And I researched like, how could I make better choices there as well? We're going to go for a carbon neutral bank, like Bank Australia. So it was like all these decisions and like areas, particularly in like finance, that I hadn't touched yet. But always asking that question, what could we do differently? And it was a lot to take on. Yeah, I think it got hard. Definitely. Just like having to stress about the basics of like the money side of things.
It's very different to being from being a storyteller to managing finance.
Exactly. And then because of all that stress, you're suddenly like not being able to actually do the storytelling that you want to do.
Yeah, because you're not able to be creative because you're stressing about the skills that you don't have.
100%. Absolutely. And so I think when that compounds as well, and you just kind of go, oh, just hold on until next month, or like until we finish this project or anything like that. The crash was bad. But then you still have to keep going because you still got a business to run and stuff to pay and things like that. So I think, we got into a bit of a tough spot last year, actually. I think just the kind of the global economy, the industry and everything, a lot of stress on us. But like it is such a roller coaster with it all. You do just kind of hold on and then like trust you're going back up again as well, and just have a really good community around you to help you out as well.
Talk to me about that community.
Yeah, I think that's been the most important thing for me. Like, because otherwise I'm just sitting here by myself working. And even with our team, we were all remote. So there wasn't that same kind of office camaraderie that you usually have. So I really sought out different communities of founders, people who work in social impact, even old marketing friends that I could talk to, not just so that, if I ever need help on something, like need advice from an accountant or something, I have a group of people I can reach out to, but also on those things of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just need some emotional support. So yeah, I was very grateful for like our founder communities in particular, because we're all figuring it out. And it's nice to be able to share in the pain and the resources.
Well, that's sort of this podcast. It's part of the purpose of that is that there's so many business owners that don't have a community or don't know what they're doing in a certain area. And these interviews are about sharing our journeys so others can learn that they're not by themselves and also learn from others.
Exactly. And I think, you see a plethora of people selling that like, oh, you can earn money working from anywhere, build a business overnight on Shopify or whatever that looks like. It makes it look like a little checklist and then you've got a business. That's it. But like every day is a new challenge, and it is important to hear like how people have experienced that and hopefully overcome them.
Learn from others' mistakes.
Because you'll make plenty of your own anyways. So
Yeah, there's no point reinventing the wheel, because at the end of the day, the business frameworks are all relatively similar. It's just your personality and what you're delivering that is different.
100%. Yeah. Like, I think that's why it's also so vulnerable as well, because you are putting yourself on the line so much. Like you are literally selling yourself, it feels like. But that's a great superpower as well, because no one else can think or work like you do.
Have you ever thought about separating your personal identity from the business identity?
Oh, yes. 100%. Not just from a kind of marketing and business standpoint. There was a point where, the values that are so clear in the business are things that are very personal to me. I think particularly in areas of racial identity and gender equity and things like that. But we want to also see what we can do for the disabled community or people in the LGBT space. And it's just me. That becomes it. I did want to be able to kind of like separate out that this business could exist outside of me as well. But I think also from just like a personal and emotional standpoint, I was feeling the emotional weight of every win and loss in the business, and that wasn't healthy either. Just even my own identity was so much driven by what we were achieving in this business. And I'm like, no, I need to have a life outside of it as well. So yeah, I think it's a bit of an ongoing balance between, obviously a big reason of why we do what we do is because this is something so personal and I'm so passionate about what drives our commitment, particularly to the impact side. But this can't be my end all.
At the end of the day, your business identity is different to you. If your business is a failure, it doesn't mean you are a failure.
Yes.
Not saying that the business ever will be a failure. Business is it's a separate entity that judged separately.
100%. And like on completely different metrics, like the economy, like that's got nothing to do with my sense of self or like anything like that. Obviously, like, you are influenced by it, but like you need to be able to separate that out for sure.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're going to struggle showing up each day, being the authentic you and being creative.
Yes. And like, pushing to that next thing as well, just because you're trying to hold on to what you have now.
And on that, what's got you to here isn't what's going to get you to that next step.
100%. Yeah. It's a new challenge every day. And the world around you changes as well. I think the biggest thing to know is that like hard skills can be taught or learned, but it is these kind of like soft skills of adaptability and just like continuing to solve problems, because the problems will look different every time, because your business will be in a different place of growth or financial success, and a new challenge can arise, and you have to make the decision that's right at that point.
Mm.
And while you may have certain tools in your basket to help you this time, the solution may be very different each time.
Yeah. Now, you're talking about how the world's changing. Storytelling and AI and writing. You would have been at the forefront of a lot of those changes over the last couple of years.
Yes. 100%.
What are you seeing? What are your clients seeing? What are they saying?
Yeah, I think because I was, it will age me, but I was there when social was still starting, and I saw the same sort of conversations that were happening. Like my first job, it was a social media team, but within a PR agency, and people were so, I wouldn't say dismissive, but didn't know how to deal with social. So we're like, we're going to do the same thing we always do. And then, post social, it'll go away in 5 years. But the people who succeeded were the ones who are like, no, this is an opportunity. This is something new that we can utilize and treat it as a tool. I think that's the same thing that's happening with AI. A certain level of AI has been existing for a long time anyways. It's just like the global access to it, the knowledge of it, particularly with things like ChatGPT and generative AI on Photoshop or whatever that looks like. But it is still a tool that we can use. I love my generative AI for graphics and photoshopping. It is a lifesaver. And the more we have more control over it, the better it is. We can't be dictated by the technology. We've got to see what the opportunities are in technology to then go back to the storytelling principles and tell them.
You hit the nail on the head with it being a tool. You can't let people that let AI drive the outcome are not using it as a tool. They're using it as the creative thinker, the storyteller. And if you're using it as a tool to assist you, different story.
100%. And it you can kind of see it with something like ChatGPT. It is still in the quality of the prompts that you give. And that still takes that creative thinking and that strategic thinking as well to get what you need. And I think, we do have to be at the forefront of it from a kind of a governance and ethical standpoint as well. There is so much that, with its rapid rise, and I think it is a lot faster than social, and even, regulations on social are very behind. So we need to be on the forefront of understanding the ethical implications of this sort of technology as well. So, yeah.
Now, tell me, totally agree. But what are your clients expecting anything different? Are they assuming that you're using AI? Are you sharing with them the use of AI? What's happening on that side?
I have to say it hasn't been a major point of contention, I guess, because, so much of our work is very creative and hands-on. And also I focus predominantly on the organic social media side. So we're able to be very agile with it. Yes, I do tend to use bits and pieces of AI, but it's not, I guess, immediately noticeable or one of those bloody AI campaigns where they put a lipstick on the Sydney Opera House. I see them all the time and I'm like, come on, guys.
That doesn't quite work.
Yeah, let's do something new. But yeah, I think with any development, anyone who's worked in social media for a number of years will know anytime something happens, you always get questions and you always are expected to have an answer. So I remember the day Threads launched so much because it was, I wouldn't say traumatic, but it was a day. The rest of my day was spent going oh no, there's a new app. Some other social media friend called me up and were like, what are we doing? Why? Because they released it without ever teasing. It was just out of nowhere.
What's the percentage of traffic or usage on Threads today?
Oh yeah, exactly. it's crazy. But I remember those first 24 hours, it was all other social media managers there, even from their brand accounts, going like, guys, are you okay? Like, it felt like an emotional support group at some point, because all of us were like, within 24 hours, I'm going to have the questions from clients going like, should we be on it? What do we do with it? What's the strategy? And you're like, you've got to let it have a little bit of time so I can also collect my thoughts and stop freaking out. But also, so many of these platforms develop quite organically into the user behaviors that happen. So yeah, I think in the field of social in particular, we're very used to very dramatic changes and needing to have opinions and strategy around them. And so much of that for me comes from like, ultimately, we just tell stories. And it is different platforms, it's different behaviors we react to. But if I can go back to those original principles of storytelling, we'll always be okay.
Yeah. What does social media going to look like in 5 years? And does your current social media business format still exist in its current setup?
Yeah, I think there are a few trends, let's say, that will remain true. 5 years is a very long time as well, I will say. So who knows? We'll all be watching it from like our contacts that are Meta AI or something like that. I think it does depend a lot on the different generations. It has become very different how different generations interact with social media. And while everyone always thinks about like, oh, we got to market only to Gen Z, purchasing power is mainly with the millennials and boomers. So like we can't forget to market them as well. You know, I think putting the voice back with the consumer has been absolutely huge, like particularly with the rise of things like TikTok. Like people want to be part of the conversation even more and more, even if it is like they're stitching back to another reel or things like that. That kind of very easy access of, you know, creating from smaller platforms. You know, the changes in the ads side of things for social will always be a major sticking point, particularly from an organic social media side as well. I mean, that's been happening for 10 years where, you know, there was always this race to zero, pay to play model on Meta. They just want your ads. And with the announcement of the Meta AI ads, I don't know the official name, but it's basically, you know, whatever Zuckerberg said the other day, like that side of things may the balance even more in favor of paid ads, which is worrying. But at the same time, like some of the most viral content is, you know, organic and like someone who's just in their car filming on their phone and that sort of thing. And it's because it's great stories. So I think they'll be fine. Yeah, I think it's basically a lot more segmentation that's going to be happening. And finding those cultural moments that can bring everyone together to talk about the same thing in the same way is definitely going to be more difficult. But yeah, who knows as well? Maybe there'll be, I'll read this back 5 years later and see if I'll.
And I'm gonna send this podcast back to you in 5 years' time and say, Tiff, you're 100% right or totally wrong. So let's flip back to the business side of things. So the tough times. Has there been times you're like, nah, I just want to go back to a day job? Yep. Everyone's like that.
Yep. We don't know. Yeah. I mean, yes, but no.
But you never would.
I don't know. Like I've looked into like even just doing part-time, and like there have been times where I went back and freelanced in different ways. Like it was a 2-week stint for 10 days straight, like back in my old agency office as well. And I don't think that's not any failure on the business. I was still running it at night and that sort of thing, but there was a cool opportunity. I wanted to jump in and get some extra cash and that sort of thing.
And you probably also built experience in another area as well, got exposure to something slightly different.
Exactly. And then moved into a new office and I wanted to have a look at it. So great experiences all around. Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me was how much I've moved into this kind of purpose space and really needing to connect, like what that has ignited in me. I don't know if I could go back into a job and not show up this much. Yeah. But, the temptation's always there. But I don't know if I'd feel as fulfilled in anything else if I'm not able to have all these other things that also bring me joy and not just the take one.
So I want to talk about this for a second. I use as part of I've got a framework that I use, and part of my business, my ultimate objective for my clients is to help you achieve true fulfillment, personal and business level. So, and you were just talking about your purpose and your fulfillment and how you would struggle to work for someone else because of this purpose and fulfillment. So I want to hear a bit about how you got to that, to understand that, and how that's made your daily operations or showing up so much easier.
Yeah, it took a long time, I have to say. I think I've had to operate in this world as a woman of color, and particularly growing up in the 90s in Australia, being Asian wasn't exactly easy. And there was so much.
You would have been, depending on where you were, you would have been the odd girl out in primary school kind of thing.
Yeah. And I still a lot of the time are. And if you're not the only woman, you're usually the only woman of color. And like my first job, I had a client who I'd been working with for 6 months at that point actually asked me, like, can you ask someone who knows English where I need to put this comma for this tweet we're writing? And I'm like, what do you mean I don't know English, buddy? I mean, that was a very stark.
Did you say that back to him? I would have.
Oh, no, I then went and broke down the entire sentence into its grammatical formats, showcased the subjunctive clause. And I was like, so if you put the comma here, this will be where it means. And as I've been mentioning on this call for 10 minutes, you just need to go talk to your product manager so we can make sure we're saying the right thing about the product. It's not about the grammar. It's about what the product actually does. Then I sent an email, color-coded what I mentioned on the phone, just in case it got confused with all the grammatical terms I was using, and CC'd everyone in. That one was a very overt form of racism, but it continues to happen in a lot of ways inadvertently as well. So, but that's been something I think I've grown a lot stronger in recognizing and speaking back on, even over the past 7 or 8 years, because I grew up with a lot of internalized racism as well. Like, I was so keen for people to never see me as Asian, going like, she's basically white, she's the Asian who's not really Asian, and like shirking away my identity. And it's only in the past couple of years that I've been like, actually, one, I'm never going to be able to change his face. You're going to be able to tell from the moment you meet me. But also it's an amazing superpower to have. Like, I have this, amazing family and cultural heritage that I can tap into. And also this, unique experience of being like an Australian born Asian diaspora here. So, I think it was a balance of like not only understanding parts of my identity that like were really important to me and I want everyone to see, but what can that then flow on into my work and how that can manifest in the business makeup, in how we hire or who we collaborate with, but also in our like day-to-day practice, making marketing materials. Like, how can we make sure that all happens? And I think that's been a real journey of just knowing what I am and then how does that also translate into my work.
Yeah, like finding yourself and what makes you tick, then allows you to work out what makes you happy, kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And like, that's not to say that, it has to be done through work, that I'm able to, share my story or, be an activist or anything like that. It's really important to do that outside of work as well. But it's been really fun and hard, very hard, but like it's been a creative challenge to see how I can do it through my work.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, like, so many people run a business and they never work out how to get that true fulfillment and connection to their passions.
100%. Yeah. And even, I mean, I've, it is a balance to have. Like, I think there's been a real departure away from like having to love your job and that idea of find a job you love and you never work a day. Work is still work. It's still going to be hard. I don't believe that saying in a way.
Mm.
Like, and there are many different ways to manifest the impact you want to create or your purpose. And it could just be that your job's your 9 to 5, you close it down, then you do what you want to do. And that means you don't have to monetize it as well. I think particularly around creative arts or things like that. Once you monetize it, it can change it a lot.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's striking the balance of what makes sense for you and will still make you happy.
Living life on your goal plan as opposed to what you think others should expect of you.
100%. And it's also like okay for the plot change. Like, if it's not working out for you in another way, there were certain ways our business was structured in a more like freelance, sole trader kind of vibe because I used to travel a lot. I was doing the whole digital nomad thing and remote working. Now, I mean, it's 7 years on. I have bills to pay. I'm more settled in an actual apartment.
You've got responsibilities.
That's right. Yeah. So my business has to evolve with that for what my needs are as well. So, it's just, I think, kind of constantly checking in with yourself.
Yeah. If you were to give your past self one piece of advice, let's say 3 years ago, what's that one piece of advice you would have given to yourself a few years ago?
Oh, 3 years ago. That was an interesting time. Coming right out of the second lockdown, right?
Yeah, something around there, somewhere around there.
Yeah, gosh. I think it was, as much as I've spoken about community, it is to lean more on community. I think I still struggled a lot to share anything bad that was going on. Because I wanted to look like everything was peachy, it was success. Because, I think it looked like such a gamble what I was doing to leave a stable career and strike out on my own. And I didn't want it to look like I did it for nothing. And so was very adamant to say that everything was fine when even those financial situations or something, just, chatting it through with someone earlier on would have been great. And being okay to say that oh, shit's not going well today. Or I really need help in this area. I think trusting that they've got your back and their best interest at heart. And just not being so afraid to show a chink in the armor.
Yeah. I think that's important, to be open and not be afraid to ask for support.
Yeah, for sure.
Because at the end of the day, good people want you to succeed. They're not going to judge you.
100%. And if it really does fail, you'll need them to pick you back up as well. Yeah, I'm usually the person who will just isolate and never talk to anyone. And it took my mother literally banging at the door going I need to take you out for lunch. I don't think you've left the house in 5 days. And I'm it's actually been 2 weeks, but thank you, Mom. Yes, let's, get some sunshine now.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So you do need to
there, Mom.
get out of time.
Yeah.
So, Tiff, if people want to get in touch with you to learn more about you or your business, what's the best way to connect?
Social media. Though, I'm not as great on our own socials as I am with my clients. I will say that. But Instagram and LinkedIn is usually the way to do it. Or you can find
and looking for the social story.
The social story co will be the easiest way to find it.
All right. Awesome. Tiff, thank you very much for your time.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, Tristan.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.